Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I have another instalment of live killers for you. Another live album recommendation that if you haven't heard it you really ought to check it out because it is a killer performance. And no, this might not be the most notable, renowned or high selling album. It might not be the most popular live album in metal or by the bands respectively, but it's certainly an absolutely brilliant show. It's certainly not one to be missed. Certainly if you're a fan of the band. And today's band in question, from Tampa, Florida, we have the legendary old school death metal pioneering heavyweights, Obituary. A band that need no introduction. But I'm going to give them a very high praising one indeed, because Obituary are so freaking good. Now, I've talked about Obituary quite a lot on this channel as of late, and with good reason, because Obituary absolutely freaking rule. Now, I am absolutely chuffed to bits that last week they announced that in August this year, Obituary will be touring the UK, a really extensive tour. If you've not heard about it yet, do some research, grab yourself a ticket because it is a really extensive UK and Ireland tour. We've got dates in Colchester and Norwich. So for me, I'm absolutely spoilt for choice. I need to pick myself up a ticket this weekend because I am not missing out on a chance to see Obituary. I've never seen them myself. They don't seem to come to these shores all that often, which is a bit of a shame. But now that they are, I am never going to miss that. Absolutely not. So, back to this particular article then. This is a live album which was originally released, I believe, in about 1997 or 1998. I could probably tell you quite quickly. It was recorded, well, it's a show recorded live at Axis, Boston, MA, September the 10th, 1997. So it may have come out shortly after that. But this is entitled Dead. Now, I do like the album cover because it's a pretty unassuming album cover. You wouldn't necessarily know that's a live album, which is probably the issue that I have with it. It doesn't scream, I'm a live album. I'm a double live album that's really good. It just, that looks more like a live recording. This digipack version that I've got, I bought when it came out reissued by Listenable Records in 2018. At the time, I remember reviewing it on my blog. It used to be a lot more proactive and actually type out my full reviews. Now I find it a lot easier to actually communicate it verbally and just tell you about it. But I remember writing about it at the time and absolutely loving it and giving it a whole lot of praise. All 5 years ago now. Seems like a lifetime ago. But Dead is a really brilliant live album. Absolutely fantastic. And I've been listening to this again in the car and through my headphones a lot lately because as soon as I picked it out of the collection when I was looking for other live killers, absolutely just I couldn't understand how I hadn't thought this one sooner, because this is such a freaking good live album. It was recorded on the tour of Back from the Dead, which I think is a brilliant album. I absolutely love this album. I think it's fantastic. A lot of people are not as keen on this album as myself, but I think it's an underrated gem. So, not to give too many hints, but there may be a more in-depth analysis of this album coming very soon. But I would say this is a fantastic album. Absolutely brilliant. From a genuinely brilliant band. And then, not that long ago, I happened to be looking on the Listenable Records European web store. I was actually buying a few other pieces from another notable US death metal band. And I happened to see this article in the sale. This was in the bargain bin, if you like. And I just had to get it. It's a lovely double album. It's just black vinyl. But it's awesome. It's so much nicer having things on vinyl. I love CDs. It's my primary format, of course. And I've got enough of them to justify that. But there is something really nice about having the big artwork, the full print, the full package. I really appreciate it. So now I've got it. on vinyl and CD. Lovely. So I'll put that prop down. So let's get to that set list then. Overall, I should mention that the production on this is brilliant. It sounds absolutely fantastic. The band sound absolutely killer. And just to go through that lineup, we have, of course, the legendary John Tardy on vocals. He is one of the most distinct death metal vocalists around. Absolutely just top level stuff. John Tardy, alongside the likes of Martin Van Drunen, George Fisher, Chris Barnes, the list goes on, of course, but they are absolutely distinctive, defining death metal vocalists that you cannot emulate, you cannot imitate, because they are so legendary. Absolutely brilliant. So that's on our vocals there. We've got the mighty John Tardy. Then on guitars, we've got lead guitars. We've got Alan West, fantastic death metal guitarist. Then we've got Trevor Perez on rhythm. We've got Frank Watkins on bass guitar. And then we've got, of course, the legendary Donald Tardy, John's brother, on drums. Brilliant lineup. And the album is produced by Obituary and Stephen Remote. And we've got recorded and engineered by Stephen Remote as well. So it's been produced, it's been recorded and engineered. Of course it has. It's not straight from the soundboard. It doesn't sound like a bootleg. Is that a problem? I think not. I think that Dead sounds absolutely fantastic. If you had never heard of Obituary and you wanted a good place to start, check out Dead. It's such a freaking good show. And the Obituary sound absolutely killer in this live setting. Absolutely love it. So as I say, it's from the Back from the Dead tour. So we do have quite a lot of tracks from this particular album. They kick off with Download from this album, which sounds great. Tons of groove. What I really love about Obituary is the fact that, of course, it's old school death metal. And although it's old school death metal, they pack their music with so much groove and rhythm and stomp. It's headbangable music. It's not insane blast beats and crazy technicality. It's doomy. It's droney at times. It's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant old school death metal. So we've got Download, really good track from that album. Then we go right back in time to the Slowly We Rot album for the great Chopped in Half. Absolutely legendary track. I love that. It sounds so crushing in that live setting. Then we've got Turned Inside Out, another classic. Then we've got Threatening Skies and By the Light, which are, of course, from Back from the Dead. So we're back to this album. Then we've got some classics. We go right back to the Cause of Death album with Dying and the title track Cause of Death, which is just phenomenal old school death metal. So crushing and groovy. It's fantastic. Then we go to the End Complete album with I'm in Pain, which is an absolute masterpiece. That is a Death Doom masterpiece. Definitely with that album, there's a whole lot more of doomy kind of Death Doom elements coming to the foreground, and it's crushingly heavy. Some of those grooves and riffs are absolutely irresistible. So good. Crushing stuff. Absolutely brilliant. We've got Rewind, so back to the Back from the Dead era. Till Death, another great one. Underrepresented, I must say. Kill for Me, another brilliant track. Don't Care, of course, from World Demise, a bit of an attitude-filled album, bit of an attitude-filled track. Platonic Disease from the Back from the Dead, as well as the title track. Then we've got Final Thoughts from World Demise as well. And then they close with Slowly We Rot. Absolutely masterful. Slowly We Rot, one of the true great tracks from this band. It's one of my favourite Obituary tracks, and it's so freaking heavy. Absolutely love it. You just cannot get enough of those doomy, droning riffs once you've heard it. Overall, it's just a fantastic set list. Of course, if you don't like Back from the Dead, then because of the fact that you've got quite a lot of tracks from the album being performed live here, you may not appreciate it quite as much. However, I would say these live versions are as good, if not better, than the studio recordings. But when the set list is bulked out with tracks like Chopped in Half, an absolute classic, an essential Obituary classic, or Dying, Cause of Death, I'm in Pain, Rewind, Till Death, Kill for Me as well, of course, and Slowly We Rot, you know, you can overlook the fact that, yes, you might not prefer that album to those other earlier classics, but those tracks in that live setting sound phenomenal. So there we have it. Another live killer. What are your thoughts on Dead? Because my thoughts are that this is a freaking great album. An absolute live killer. The sound quality is brilliant. The musicianship is tight. The guys sound on top form. It's a really good set list. And if you do like Back from the Dead, if you like this studio album, then you're definitely going to like these live versions. Sounds fantastic. Just a brilliant live killer. An absolute live killer. So what are your thoughts and opinions? Are there any other fans of Obituary, fans of Dead out there? I'm very interested to hear the thoughts and opinions on others, of course, as always. If you've never heard it, and if you've never heard of Obituary even, check it out. You can probably find it easily enough on Spotify or on YouTube or whatever. Or you can do the decent thing and trust my opinion and trust my recommendation and pick up a physical copy. Because you will not regret it. It's a death metal masterpiece. A live killer. Obituary, Dead. Check it out if you've not heard it. What are your thoughts and opinions? Always interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Feel free to like and subscribe as always. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations. Above all, take care, my friends, and stay heavy.